Good morning, everybody. If it's morning for you, if not, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this video, make it good. Welcome back to Yoga Vibe. Today we're going to dive deep, and I mean deep diving, into two incredible postures that are complementary postures, counter poses to each other that work together. Paschimottanasan, a forward bend, and Purvottanasana, a reverse plank. Now these poses are considered some of the most important poses in Hatha Yoga, and they deliver a lot of benefits. So we're going to look at how to do the pose, understand the name a little bit, and then we'll talk about the benefits. Of course, we're going to consult one of my favorite go-to resources, the Hatha Pradipika itself, where almost all of our modern yoga, asana-based yoga, is coming from. A couple of things I want to say right away before I forget is the contraindications, when not to do these poses. So first, Paschimottanasana, the forward bend. Of course, women who are in menstrual cycle or pregnant should probably avoid this pose. Also, people who have slipped discs have to be very careful in a forward bend, and also with sciatica and certain types of hernias, you just have to be careful. Take your time when you're entering and exiting these poses especially, and don't try to overstretch. Now in Purvottanasana, there's a couple of things to watch out for also. People with cervical spondylitis should be a little bit careful when they're doing this posture. Whenever you open up the chest, it can raise blood pressure a tiny bit. So if you have high blood pressure, another thing just to be aware of. Doesn't mean you can't do these postures, but you need to be aware, take your time, and make sure you take care of your health conditions and don't just rush into a posture, because some of these postures do have strong effects. Now that being said, we are ready to deep dive and find out all about these postures. So let's dive in. Let's take a look at these postures, and we'll start with Paschimottanasana, a seated forward bend. Sounds simple enough, but this pose has so many amazing effects on the body, on the pranic, energetical system of the body, the mind, the immune system, everything. First, I'll show you how one of my great teachers showed us how to do it. And you can learn it like this too and practice along with me. What he would have us do is sit in Dandasana, seated staff pose, inhale and forward bend to wherever you're comfortable. And wherever you're comfortable, you'd let your head hang. And brilliant on his part, he would have us do Kapalbhati breathing technique, Kapalbhati Pranayama, while we were in the posture. So it would look something like this. Forward bend and then Kapalbhati. And then inhale, back up into Dandasana. Now that's a brilliant way to get introduced to Paschimottanasana, and because of doing the breathing technique, you're actually increasing the amount of benefits you can get from the posture. Now if we wanted to go into the full Paschimottanasana, the actual pose itself, there's a few details and a few little changes we would have to make. The first is, you would have to use your peace fingers, reach down, grab your big toes, very common in Hatha Yoga, and begin a forward bend, trying not to arch the back, trying to keep the back as straight as possible. And as soon as you straighten your back, even at this point, you're going to feel a stretch going on all the way behind your legs. You'll notice it. And then roll your belly in and bring your navel to spine as you keep coming forward. And then once you get as far as you can, you might think this is it. But there's a little trick you can do using your breath. You're going to inhale deeply and stretch your spine. You see, you might have noticed my spine extending. And then that'll allow you to come a little further down. And then once again, inhale, extend the spine, and bring yourself forward, bringing your chest to your thighs. And then inhale, stretch that spine forward, and then keep coming down. And then finally, bringing your head down between your knees or between your shins. And once you've gotten here, you might think that's it, but you can lock your thumbs together and reach your arms in front of your feet. Now that'll depend on the type of body you have, if your arms are long, but from here you can even go a little bit further. You can pull yourself a little bit further. Inhaling still, extending the spine, rolling the belly in, and coming down bringing your chest against your thighs. And hold this posture as long as possible, as long as comfortable. And slowly coming out of the posture. Always come out of asanas slowly, take your time, feel your body. Inhaling back up into Dandasana. Now that is a powerful asana. The complement to it, the counter pose, to balance out this asana, is called Purvottanasana, or the reverse plank. I call it the reverse plank. There might be some other names for it also. Easy posture. You bring your hands behind you and raise your waist up and let your head hang down behind. A couple of little tricks you can do, like we did in Paschimottanasana, where we used our breath to extend the spine and allow us to go a little further into the pose. With Purvottanasana, there's a couple of things you can be aware of also that help get a little deeper into the posture. Hands pointed forward behind you, lifting at the waist. Now if I just go like this on my heels, it's one thing, but if I point my toes down, that's how you're going to get the good lift at the waist. And when you let your head hang back, pull your scapula together. Roll your shoulders back and pull your scapula together. And then hold as long as you held Paschimottanasana. Slowly coming out of the pose. Absolutely amazing. Simple looking poses, but pretty hard to perfect. Pretty hard to get that forward stretch, to get your chest down to the thighs. And also in Purvottanasana, challenging to keep the body straight. So let's do it one more time together, just to make sure we got it, and we'll do it as a little mini sequence. Starting in Dandasana, inhale, forward bend, reach for the toes, bring your navel to spine, rolling your belly in, and bring yourself down as far as comfortable, and then start to inhale, stretching the spine forward, extending the spine, and coming down a little bit forward. Again, inhale, extend the spine, bring the chest towards the thighs, and then reach in front, locking your thumbs together for the last little bit. Breathe normally. I'm lifting my head because otherwise it'll sound all funny in the microphone. But your head should be down in between your thighs or your knees, like this. Coming out, inhaling back into Dandasana. Let your arms come all the way back. Maybe I can center myself a little better. Lift up, point your toes down. Lift at the waist, roll your head back. Now pull your scapula together. Hold the pose for as long as you held Paschimottanasana. And then slowly coming out into Dandasana. And when you get to Dandasana, straighten your back again. Incredible complementary poses with a tremendous amount of benefits. Now that we've done the postures, let's take a quick look at what the names mean. Paschimottanasana means Paschi is west, Uttana, intense, Asana is the posture. So west intense asana, west intense posture. Why would you put west in there? What does that mean? Well, there are sequences of yoga that are designed to be done early in the morning when the sun is just breaking over the horizon. And they're very specific sequences that allow the human being to take in more prana. Recharge the batteries, recharge your system. And with that extra pranic energy, it's a complete upgrade. Upgrades the immune system, the overall health of the physical body, the pranic body, the energy body, your consciousness, everything gets brought up, just everything. These two postures are part of those solar Surya yogi systems. The sun rises in the east. So west intense stretch is telling us that your back would be facing the west. The sun would be coming up and you would be doing Paschimottanasana facing the sun. Then Purvottanasana is east intense stretch. What it's telling us is to turn around, and then when we would come into Purvottanasana, our head would be facing the sun. So you would be taking in prana through the third eye and your eyes also. Yogis unite. All right, I said we'd be diving in deep, and now we're going to talk about benefits. First from personal experience, and then from the Hatha Pradipika. Now right away, when you do this forward bend with Paschimottanasana, you will feel that intense stretch from your heels all the way down the back of your legs, up through your spine to the top of your head. Pretty amazing. By bringing your navel to spine, you're doing what is known as a variation of Uddiyana Bandha. And the bandhas are very important techniques to help move energy upwards, to clean certain energy channels, and to get the energy moving into Sushumna. Sushumna being the central energy channel that travels through all your psychic centers or your chakras. You probably know that already. When you come forward in Paschimottanasana, it obliges you to do the three bandhas if you're doing it correctly. By sitting on your tailbones and leaning forward, you're putting a little bit of pressure right on Muladhara chakra. So that's creating the Mulad Bandh. When you bring your navel to spine and roll your stomach inwards, that's a variation of Uddiyana Bandh. And by tucking your chin in and bringing your head to your knees, you're doing Jalandhara Bandh. So, Mulad Bandh is applied, bringing the navel to spine, Uddiyana Bandh, and bringing the head down between the knees is creating Jalandhara Bandha. So this is very interesting in the effects it has on your pranic system. Also, by bringing your navel to spine, you're stimulating all your abdominal region. You're tonifying most of your organs and your digestive tract, and probably your sex glands also. And just as an easy way to understand that, it's like giving everything a massage. Like a muscle, when you give your muscles a massage, everything is loosened up, detoxified, and feels great. Same thing by doing Uddiyana Bandh, massages almost all the internal organs. Now when we do the counter pose and get into Purvottanasana, and the same thing, when we do it correctly, you point your toes down, it's straightening your spine, and when you drop your head and roll your shoulders back, you're actually lifting your sternum, which is very good for the heart. So the organ that you don't get in the forward bend, you actually stimulate the heart region and the lungs with Purvottanasana. Super interesting. Now that's from personal experience. Let's take a look at what the books say. Okay, I've got a couple of books here. Ashtanga Yoga by John Scott, and you know, one of my favorites, the Hatha Pradipika. Let's take a look at what it says about Purvottanasana in John Scott's book on Ashtanga Yoga. Purvottanasana. This intense front body stretch is the necessary and direct counterpose to the previous intense Paschimottanasana. The principles are to align and purify the body externally and internally. Amazing. In order to prevent disease. Do I have to say anything else? What do we want in life? A long, healthy, happy life? Disease-free. So when you start learning and consulting the books and learning how these asanas affect your health, just inspires you to practice even more. Goes on to say, it's imperative to practice asanas correctly and to link them together in a balanced and precise order. So this is great verification that these two poses are meant to work together. Now let's get into this ancient text, the Hatha Pradipika, where almost all of our modern day yoga asana comes from ancient texts like this. These are the source books. Paschimottanasana. Paschimottanasana is the best among asanas. By this asana, the pranic currents rise through Sushumna. Exactly what we were talking about. Incredible. The digestive fire increases, the abdomen becomes flat, and the practitioner becomes free from disease. So imagine what kind of amazing things you're doing for yourself when you put these two things together. Now, I should just add that this won't happen if you do this posture once, and that's it. You're not going to experience the benefits. But if you include this in your daily yoga practice, you're going to see why it's considered one of the most important asanas. If you were to do, like, let's say 10 or 12 asanas and that's it, this Paschimottanasana is one that you would want to have included in there. Going on a little further, Paschimottanasana stretches the whole spinal column and central nervous system through which Sushumna runs, thus enabling nervous and pranic impulses to pass directly up to the higher centers. That's what we were talking about before, especially when you work with the sun, you're upgrading your entire being on every level, which is the goal of yoga. I won't read everything in here. If you're really interested in yoga, you probably want to get yourself some copy of the Hatha Pradipika. You can probably find it for free online, because these texts are just fantastic to consult, to help you verify what you're experiencing, or to give you ideas and a deeper understanding of the postures. Well, that's it for today. I hope you got something out of the video. We went over how to do the postures, what the names mean, and looked at some of the benefits. The most important thing, though, is no matter what it says in a book, that you put your attention inwards when you're doing a posture. Yoga is an experiential science, and it requires you to put your mind inwards and not outwards. And that's how you'll verify and understand the benefits no matter what the book says. The way to practice is with a silent mind focused inwards. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't hesitate to leave a comment, your experiences with these postures. Like, subscribe, hit the gong, and we'll see you next time on Yoga Vibe.